Hello there, welcome to NTV English News Bulletin. I am Bhavana KC. In the beginning, we have the headlines. UML Chair Oli reaches Balwatar to hold talks with Prime Minister Dewa, upcoming elections and other contemporary issues discussed. Congress said to launch election publicity campaign in 3 phases, also mobilizes central representatives in all 77 districts. Two-thirds of Europe reeling under worst drought in 500 years. Dry spell likely to last several more months in southern parts. And Dominic Thiem advances to the third round at Winston-Salem Open to face the winner of the match between Fabio Fognini in the next round. Welcome back. You are with NTV English News Bulletin. Now we have the news in details. Chairman of the main opposition CPL-UML KP Sharma Oli has held talks with Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Dewa. Chairman Oli, along with other UML leaders, reached the Prime Minister's official residence in Balwatar to hold the talks. It is reported contemporary political issues, including the November 20 elections to the House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly, and the Citizenship Bill was discussed during the meet. The ruling Nepali Congress is set to launch publicity campaign in 3 phases targeting the November 20 elections to the House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly. The party has also deputed the central representatives for all 77 districts for the election campaign entitled Congress with People. The party is launching the campaign from August the 26th. Congress spokesperson Dr. Prakash Saran said the central representatives have been directed to reach the districts 2 days before the campaign kicks off and participate in the publicity programs for at least 5 days to make the campaign successful. The Election Commission has solicited applications from the national organizations interested to observe the November 20 elections to the House of Representatives and National Assembly being held in a single phase. The Election Commission has already called for application from the international organization for the election observation activities. The Commission has asked to submit the application with necessary documents within 15 days through the information system. According to the notice, the organizations that were involved in election observation in previous elections would not be allowed to participate in the process if their election observation report was not submitted. With this update, time to go for a short break, but still to come we have. Welcome back. You are with NTV English News Bulletin. Now we have the updates from the international front. Two-thirds of Europe is under some sort of drought warning in what is likely the worst such event in 500 years. The latest report from the Global Drought Observatory says 47% of the continent is in warning conditions, meaning soil has dried up. Another 17% is on alert, meaning vegetation shows the sign of stress. The report warns that the dry spell will hit crop production, spark the wildfires, and may last several months more in some of Europe's southern regions. Compared with the average of the previous 5 years, EU forecasts for harvest are down 16% for the grain maize, 15% for soybeans, and 12% for the sunflowers. The UN Nuclear Agency is renewing its request to access the safety and security at Europe's largest nuclear plant in southeastern Ukraine, which Russia and Ukraine accuse each other of selling. UN political chief Rosemary DiCarlo told the UN Security Council that the International Atomic Energy Agency has requested to send an IAEA mission to the Zaporizhzhia plant. She said preparations are proceeding and welcomed the recent statements from Russia and Ukraine indicating to support an IAEA mission to the plant. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky urged the international community on Tuesday to issue an ultimatum to Russia to remove its troops from Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Addressing a news conference after an international summit on Crimea held in Kiev, Zelensky he said that the ongoing Russian military presence at the Zaporizhzhia plant was a danger to the entire world, and the soldiers were not well versed in the nuclear energy issues. India's government has sacked 3 Air Force officers for the accidental firing of a missile into Pakistan in March. The incident had escalated tensions between the two nuclear-armed nations. Delhi had blamed the deeply regrettable incident on a technical malfunction during the routine maintenance. Islamabad warned Delhi to be mindful of the unpleasant consequences of such negligence and to avoid a repeat. The officers responsible for the 9 March incident have been terminated, the Indian Air Force said in a statement. More updates lined up on the other side, but before that, time to go for a short break. Welcome back. Now to more updates. South Korea continued nationwide anti-terror drills on Wednesday as part of the annual Ulsi exercise. One of the anti-terror drills took place at the headquarters of the Seoul Metro, an agency in charge of the railway station in the country's capital area. During the simulated training, fire crews, police and military practiced handling hostage crises and countering chemical and the drone attacks to the major national facility. A former security chief for Twitter has turned whistleblower and testified that the company misled users and U.S. regulators about gaps in its security. Piotr Jatko also claimed that Twitter underestimated how many fake and spam accounts are on its platform. The accusations could affect a legal battle between Twitter and billionaire Elon Musk, who is trying to cancel his $44 billion deal to buy the company. Twitter says Jatko's allegations are inaccurate and inconsistent. More updates lined up on the other side, but before that, let's have what we have coming up next. China has launched a Long March 2D rocket placing a satellite into space. Coded Beijing 3B, the satellite was lifted at 11:01 a.m. local time from Taiyuan Satellite Launch Center in the northern province of Shanxi and soon entered the preset orbit. It will mainly be used to provide remote sensing services in the fields of land resource management, agricultural resources survey, environment monitoring, and city applications. This was the 434th flight mission of the Long March rocket series, the launch center said. Now to sports. Dominic Thiem advanced to the third round at Winston-Salem Open after benefiting from the abandonment of Grigor Dimitrov on Tuesday night. The Austrian will face the winner of the match between Italian Fabio Fognini and number 13 seeded Jack Draper in the next round. Dimitrov started like a house on fire during his second match round with a Dominic Thiem at Winston-Salem taking the opening set 6-0, but midway through the second set, the Bulgarian fell ill, and after a medical timeout, he was forced to retire the match. Defending champion Lo Qian-yu advanced to the round of 16 at BWF World Championship in Tokyo. The number 8 seed took 49 minutes to overpass Kevin Corden of Guatemala in 3 games, 21-12, 11-21, 21-12 at the Tokyo Metropolitan Gymnasium. In the women's straights, 13 seed Michelle Lee of Canada reached the last 16 after beating Ip Yu Pin of Hong Kong in the straights 21-19, 21-13. Thai rising star Pornpawi Cho Chuang came back from 1 game down, beating Sim Yoo-jin of Korea in 3 games to reach the round of 16. Top-seeded Chen Qingchen and Jia Yifan of China powered into the round of 16 with a convincing win in straights 21-15, 21-10 against Ashwini Ponnappa and Reddy and Saki of India in the morning of Wednesday. Well, this brings us to the end of this English News Bulletin, but before we say goodbye, let's have a quick reminder of the major stories. UL Chair Oli reaches Balwata to hold talks with Prime Minister Dewa, upcoming elections and other contemporary issues discussed between the duo. Congress said to launch election publicity campaign in 3 phases, also mobilizes central representatives in all 77 districts. Two-thirds of Europe reeling under worst drought in 500 years, dry spell likely to last several more months in southern parts of the region. And Dominic Thiem advances to third round at Winston-Salem Open to face the winner of the match between Fabio Fognini and Jack Draper in next round. Well, that's all we have in this edition of English News Bulletin, which I'll see you again with next round of English Bulletin at 6 in the evening. Till then, have a great time ahead and do stay tuned with us. Namaste.